Hello, I'm Natalie Kenway, Deputy Editor of Investment Week. In the first of this two-part video series, I'm interviewing Chris Cummings, Chief Executive of the Investment Association. We're discussing the findings of the latest asset management survey for 2017. Hi, Chris. Can you briefly outline some of the key findings from the survey?
Well, thanks for the opportunity to come in and talk a little bit about the survey today. This is the definitive report for the asset management industry, used by government, the regulator, the industry here in the UK, but also internationally as well. So it really is regarded as the go-to guide for the industry's performance over the last 12 months or so. This year we're able to record a fantastic performance by the industry. The industry is now worth some £7.7 trillion of assets under management. That's an 11% increase just on last year. Wow. Substantial growth was really seen across the major asset classes, which has given rise to the performance. And also what we've seen is considerable growth, not only in the UK, but also in across continental Europe as well. So today, here in the UK, we're deploying some 1.7 trillion into the UK economy. And in continental Europe, assets under management have now grown to 1.8 trillion as well. So the UK really continues to be not only globally the preeminent asset management centre, but for Europe, the beating heart of the financial system. I mentioned we look after 1.8 trillion of assets for European clients. That's 35% of all of Europe's assets under management being managed here in the UK. That means we're larger than France, Germany and Switzerland added together. But asset management isn't just a UK or indeed a European story. What we're able to report as well is that the asset management industry is worth 6% of our net export earning income as a country. So the asset management industry is helping the UK pay its way in the world. So this is an exciting time to be in asset management. Okay,
great. Yeah, you mentioned that the IA members are managing around £1.8 trillion for investors based in Europe. What do you think are the implications of Brexit are for the UK asset management industry, with that in mind?
Well, Brexit really provides the context for everything not only we do at the Investment Association, but it's the big challenge that all of our members face. Of course, asset management should always have been less affected by Brexit than, say, banking or insurance. But still, firms are rightly going through their contingency planning, certainly in light of what could be a harsh Brexit or a no-deal Brexit. But there are some big issues, and we've been really clear with government and regulator about how we want to work with the authorities to make sure that our industry not only thrives through Brexit, but actually continues to be a great success story for the UK. Mm-hmm. Importantly for us, we have to protect delegation and portfolio management. This should never really have been a Brexit issue. It's been rather caught up in the political nature of Brexit. But the essential thing is to protect delegation, really to make sure that the industry can continue, not only because that's good for industry efficiency, but because it protects the savings and investments of all of our clients across the whole of the UK, but around Europe and around the world. We also need to make sure that we can continue with the inward passporting regime that we have at the moment. It would seem odd to get through Brexit only to find that UK investors have got less choice than they've had before Brexit. And we also want to make sure that as an industry, we still have access to fantastic talent, yes, from around Europe, but also generally from around the whole of the world as well. Yeah. 1 in 10 people today in our industry come from other European member states. Now, as an industry, we are of course committed to growing our own. We've got a great talent pipeline and certainly the work of Investment 2020 in making sure that we attract apprentices from non-traditional universities, from a very broad spectrum of schools and universities. They're doing some fantastic work. Mm-hmm. And that's why we at the Investment Association are so keen to make sure that what government hears from us is that we're an industry that knows how to grow its own, that we want to nurture and develop our own talent. But actually we continue to need access to the best people from around Europe and around the world. And that will keep us as a major leading global asset management centre.
Okay. And the UK asset management industry is second in size to the US in the world. What are your thoughts on how the UK's future position?
Well, I think this is a really exciting time to be in asset management. Not only has the industry continued to grow over the last 12 months, Actually, that growth over the last 10 years has been quite remarkable. We're now at the scale of managing £7.7 trillion. That means we are no longer regarded by policymakers as being the third leg of financial services, somewhere behind the banks and the insurance companies or asset management. Our industry today is structurally important to the UK economy, helping governments think through the challenges of an ageing population, demographic change, infrastructure investment. So we really are seen to be at the beating heart of the UK economy, a really structurally important part of it. So from the UK side, our industry is better positioned than it ever has been, and we're certainly way, way up on the government's agenda. From a European point of view, obviously the growth in asset management is also behind many initiatives such as Capital Markets Union. And internationally, when I look at where future growth for our industry will come from, yes, Europe will always continue to be important for us, but the growth that we're seeing in the Asian market is very exciting. When I look at where the business is coming from in Latin America and of course North America, this is an industry that's particularly well poised to take advantage of those post-Brexit opportunities that we hear so much about from politicians, but actually ours has always been an international industry. And I think this is a great time to be in it and to make a success.
Okay, that sounds fab. The survey also noted an increased number of equity and bond investors in the UK choosing to invest overseas. What do you think needs to happen to see a return to positive sentiment towards the UK?
Well, I mentioned that Brexit was the context, of course, for much of our work, and there is obviously a Brexit effect in that. But actually what I'd say is that ours is an international industry, and portfolio management managers, investment professionals are looking at where they can get the best returns for their clients. And that does mean having that international mindset and being diligent in focusing on where investment performance can really be gathered. So I'm expecting to see what we're always very good at, which is focusing on the long term to prioritise what's in the best long-term interests of investors.
And you already mentioned that the asset managers play a huge role in the UK economy. How do you think that will evolve?
Well, today our member firms invest £1.7 trillion into the UK economy. So that means we look after about a third of the entire FTSE. Because of that structural importance, we are recognised more clearly by government as having a major part to play in the development of the UK economy. Now, it's fine, we're very good at investing the money, but I think the two other areas that come with that, firstly, are our partnership, our much more clearly articulated relationship with government on the development of pensions in the UK. Auto-enrolment has been a game changer for our industry as much as for the nation. Some 11 million people now use auto-enrolment. That actually means that 75% of UK households now use the services of an asset manager. Now, that actually means that we have to get used to life on the public square, because asset management, for the first time, is a retail politics issue. So politicians want to know much more about asset management because they're having to defend us when they talk to their voters who are saying, well, what's the auto-enrolment about? What's happening to my pension? How do I know I'll get a good return when I retire? And that's why actually we are much more in the public gaze than we ever were in the past. That means we have to manage our reputation. It also means that we have to take our arguments to not only the regulator, but policymakers and indeed our good friends in the media to help them explain why asset management is so important to the UK as a whole and, yes, to the UK economy. And of course, the third aspect is our work as stewards of the economy. And that's why I'm so passionate about socially responsible investment. I think this goes to actually the heart of what the industry is all about. And I think over the next few years, whether it's a demand from asset owners through to a better understanding of how millennials will want their money invested, we as an industry have to be much more thoughtful, have to describe much more clearly how the investment policies we pursue, actually the impact they have on the economy, the environment, people's lives and communities. And I think there's a big opportunity there for us as an industry to take a step forward and say, yes, we do manage your money not only extremely well, but also thoughtfully and in full regard to these SRI principles. And I think that will also help not only the competitiveness of the UK, but it will provide further reasons for asset owners globally to want to deal with UK-based asset managers.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Join us again for the next instalment in this video series, where we'll be discussing further findings of the asset management survey, such as positioning and regulation. Thanks for watching.